Saw 10.
Ew.
And I was kind of excited about that because I feel like, well, I have a special memory about the first Saw movie. Was actually the last movie I watched with my grandfather before he passed away. And he really enjoyed it. I remember when the reveal happened, and won't spoil it, at the end, he said he and I've never, this is a veteran. This is a Korean War veteran. I've never seen him have a reaction of surprise, to be shocked by anything. And he was actually shocked by that. And he said, "That's a dang good movie." So I've
should go on the poster.
Yeah. I watched all the Saw movies. I watched the Chris Rock Saw spinoff, which is Spiral. It was surprisingly better than I thought it was going to be. Okay. And so this last Saw actually takes place in between the first and the second Saw. So I don't know whether you would call that a sequel, a requel, or what would you call that, since it doesn't take place in a chronological order.
Yeah, it's quite hard to sum up what that is, I would say. I'm sure there is a word because they come up with a title for every sort of franchise entry. Okay, but Saw X, the latest, you quite like it then?
Yeah, I was at first. I said to myself, well, these Saw traps are not very impressive. But then I had to check myself and thought, is it that the traps aren't impressive, or am I desensitized because we've been seeing these traps, through 10 movies? So maybe to a person who hasn't seen the previous Saws, the traps are still as visceral. But to me, maybe I'm just numb because I've watched so much Saw. So I'm not sure.
It could be so I've not seen this one yet. I've seen a few of the Saw movies, including the first one when it was at the cinema originally. So that's crazy to think that's nearly 20 years ago now, which is insane. But I'm not a fan of the franchise overall because I quite like that original movie.
Yes.
But the franchise after that is not really my sort of thing. But people keep saying this one is better, like it's one of the better Saw movies. So
I would agree. I think it's better than maybe the last three in the line. Okay. But I do find myself never rewatching the sequels, but only rewatching the original Saw.
Oh, come on, that franchise sucks. It's run out of steam. And then you'll just get people on the internet all raving about another sequel, and it's oh damn it, I suppose I might have to give it a watch sometime then. So,
and then sometimes I wonder if it's also due to age, because I mean we're a little bit older, so we might not have the nostalgia that someone who maybe they first saw their first Saw movie when they were 8, and it's like nostalgia to them. Yeah, it's like I grew up on these movies.
Those crazy kids. So, okay, I'll definitely have it on the watch list. I'll probably wait for streaming.
We've watched every Saw movie. You might as well watch every Ghostbuster movie, too.
Well, speaking of Saw, I'll go ahead and lead us into that. So, the next movie that both Jess and I have seen was Saw 10. So they completely I don't understand why they called it Saw 10, because it is not a sequel to the series or a soft reboot or anything like that. It's literally whenever Amanda and I forgot the detective's name, but the detective is working alongside Jigsaw. Jigsaw, or John, he has brain cancer. And so he's trying to find a cure because he, of course, doesn't want to die. And he goes to Mexico to get this revolutionary treatment. And lo and behold, it's BS, and he was tricked. And so it's like him getting revenge, because it's not like they didn't just play him. Like they had been playing people for years, and they're I think millionaires from it.
Well, they got $250,000 just from him.
Yeah.
And they were doing this to several people at a time.
Yeah, so it is almost like a revenge story, but also, I mean, they still had their problems that they could work through or whatever in the games. It's on the one hand, I'm like, why did you call it Saw 10? Like, you could have just, just made it more obvious that was a part of the storyline rather than like a continuation of it. But besides that, the movie wasn't that bad. I was enjoying it until the end, where they really like leave off. Like, they have like the most evil of the characters, the one that is actually like facilitating, like making the money off of these cancer patients. They have her show like surviving, and then they just cut it off, and they don't. It's like, what? And so it's like, it makes you like almost mad, because it's like they set it up to it being like a retribution or a revenge movie, but then you don't actually get that satisfaction of like these characters paying for it. But I will say, I did not, some of the traps that they came up with, or the puzzles, were really stupid.
Yeah.
Like, I absolutely hate eye stuff, but they had this one where it's like goggles and it's like tubes. And so at the end of the game, it's like, I hate eye stuff, but I was laughing because when he lost, he sucked his eyeball. So you see, they're like, whoop, like, like it's like really comedic.
Yeah, it was definitely comical for sure.
Okay.
Yeah. So yeah, it's like, I feel like as many Saw movies as there are, and as many like beating a dead horse as these movies have been, I feel like this movie actually did have the potential to be a kind of like refresh the series, but between them like not being clear on the name, having kind of some really strange, stupid traps, and then not having like the satisfying ending. It's so like, I can take it or leave it, but yeah, I at least think it's a little bit better than the last couple of ones that have come out, though.
Yeah, that's fair. They definitely did take a crowbar and like shove this story into like the middle of the plot line. Like, it's definitely not a sequel. It's like they took that crowbar and just shoved it in the middle of
Yeah.
everything else. Like, oh, this is a random point in time when he was still alive that this is all happening, and it actually has no bearing on the overall arcing plot.
Yeah. But I found the story interesting. Like, I was invested in the story, and I like that it focused more on the story itself of him trying to get a cure than the actual games. Because that's whenever they start only focusing on like the detectives trying to find like Jigsaw or rescue the people, that's where it gets stale really fast, because then it's like a cat and mouse game. And it's like, we've been seeing it over and over again. But like with this, like, I was actually invested and wanted, I mean, we know that John dies, but it's like, I was interested to see, well, if this is actually the case, then how did he die? And you kind of get
or like,
red flags
did it
here
come
and there.
back? Like, did he get rid of it, but did it come back?
Yeah, which I think would have been a sellout. And so I'm glad that they just made it like more trickery than actual like it reemerging or whatever.
It was all right. Personally, I feel like this one I could probably leave it. I was bored at some points because, I mean, it's a Saw movie. Like, honestly, once you've seen one or two of them, you've kind of seen them all.
Yeah.
It was gore for the sake of gore. Some of the games, like, they didn't give them quite enough time.
Yeah.
Like, they were doing the thing, but it just...
Yeah,
like, they could only go so fast.
Yeah, it's like they paused for like maybe 10 seconds after the timer started, and then they were like, doing
and
what they're
people are
supposed
gonna
to do.
panic in that situation. Like, give them a little bit of time, because clearly they're trying to survive. Like, they're doing the thing. It's not like they were denying the entire time. Nope, ain't doing it. Just sitting there twiddling their thumbs waiting for death. No, they were actually
Yeah.
doing the thing.
And that's kind of the sin of most Saw movies as
Yeah.
they've kind of like gone through the series is they rig the games to where it's really not in the person's favor. While in the first movie, they really like took a point to be like, well, I mean, it depends on the puzzle because
Depends
like
on the
Amanda's
person.
game, that person was screwed. Like
It-
but
yeah.
for the most part, they made it like very survivable if
Yeah.
you could like push through it.
Yeah, and the whole point of his theology, I guess, was that the people that wanted to survive should survive. And the games were supposed to be inherently winnable.
Mm-hmm.
Like, it would suck.
A lot.
It would suck a lot. But they were still possible. But some of them just seemed a little just shy of possible. I was just kind
Yeah.
of sort of bored with it because it's, something we've seen at
So-
least 10 times. So,
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I've heard that. I've heard that because I didn't rush out to see it, and it was like I keep hearing people say it's the best in a while, and
Mhm.
I was like,
yeah.
In a
probably
while,
is,
yes.
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
it's better than a lot of the ones with like just the detective or just Amanda and the detective. It was nice that he was back and we got to see a little bit more of his struggle with cancer and
but- right.
trying to help others live better in the worst way. But but it's still one that if you don't see it, you're not necessarily missing anything.
Okay.
Yeah. But if you like the Saw series, I
Yeah.
feel like you would get something out of it, though.
Out of all the men to cheat, you picked John Kramer?
The cancer is still spreading. I'm afraid there's nothing else we can do. There is one person who might be able to help.
Our program is a two-pronged treatment outside Mexico City. The results have been stunning.
She saved my life.
You're in very good hands with us.
After that, what happens then?
Your whole life happens then. John Kramer.
According to these scans, the tumor was never removed.
How much time do I have?
Months, at best.
I still have a lot of work that needs to be done. Hello, everyone. It's time to play a game. You all pretended to cure me, but what I have planned for each of you is very real.
Peace came upon me. No light, no sound.
The only thing I have not provided is your anesthetic. But trust me, you will want to remain alert. Out of all the men to cheat, you picked John Kramer? Please, don't hesitate. Place a big enough piece of your cerebral tissue into the glass enzyme tank. This will save your life.
So sweet, silent
This is not retribution. It's a reawakening. Live or die. The choice is yours.